Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Academy on Air. This week's topic is site-wide tagging, making every conversion count. My name is Patrick Spath. I am the regional measurement and attribution specialist on measurement and attribution. I'm here with Coraline Plumat.
Hi, everyone. I'm Coraline Plumat. I'm from the Google implementation team.
And we're going to talk to you today about the topic of site-wide tagging, why it is important, how to implement the three different solutions of Google Tag Manager, gTag, and Google Analytics. We will have this recorded so you can avail of it later on. So let's get right into it. So basically, we have asked some of you to update to your tagging or your conversion tracking to future-proof your measurement, particularly on site-wide tagging. The advertising industry is actually evolving towards using more first-party cookie as a more accurate way of measuring conversions. These actually allow also a better integration with some of our Google products, in particular, let's say Google Tag Manager and gTag, and simplifies tagging management on your website. It's basically an more accurate way of measuring conversions, particularly as some browsers may not allow in the near future to have third-party cookies installed in the temporary internet files. So a site-wide tagging is basically a solution to accurately measure your conversions in the future and future-proofing your business. But it also means that you need to place these tags on every single page of your site. Previously, if you have used, for example, a Google Ads conversion tracking tag, you have only placed this on the conversion page, for example, your thank you page after a purchase. Now, this will not be sufficient anymore. You will need a tag on every single page of your website. And we're going to go through these different solutions now. Now, a quick one maybe on cookie basics. So whenever you as a user visit, or if a user visits a website, say myhappyclothes.com, you have a domain, and this domain is actually important when cookies are installed. So when cookies are installed, they are installed locally on your temporary internet files. And there are different types of cookies. You may or may not know this, depending how deeply you are involved in that, but there's basically two versions of cookies, so-called third-party cookies and first-party cookies. Now, you will see here already that there's two types of domains that these cookies are associated with. The first-party cookie is associated with the same domain that you're visiting, in this case, myhappyclothes.com, versus a third-party cookie that is not associated with that specific domain. Right? So it's, as you can see, that's the main difference. And in the near future, first-party cookies will be the way to go in the industry, which also means that third-party cookies will not be allowed to be implemented from some browsers. So the benefits of site-wide tagging then is, site-wide tagging is a solution because site-wide tags are using first-party cookies. It's future-proof, it's adapted to changes, right? So as the industry evolves, you are future-proofing your business. Secondly, it will allow you to measure conversions all across, right? So all across different browsers. So it's also accurately measuring your conversions. And lastly, site-wide tags are allow for better integration with other Google products. For example, Google Tag Manager is a very good solution for if you are using a variety of Google tags on your website. Now, there's three main solutions. The one being, if you're using currently Google Ads conversion tracking, you may have seen this already, that there's an updated tag. It's called the so-called global site tag, and that would need to be implemented on every single page of the website that you're advertising. The second solution would be the so-called Google Tag Manager. Tag Manager allows you to remotely control a variety of tags without interfering with the website. This is a very good solution for agencies who cannot avail of the web developer services of their clients, for example. Now, bear in mind, though, there's one thing: you need the so-called conversion linker, right, or Google Analytics installed with the Google Tag Manager in order to qualify as being site-wide tags. And lastly, you can also use Google Analytics. So if you're using currently goals and transactions that you're importing into Google Ads, then you're actually already using a site-wide tagging solution, as Google Analytics by default needs to be installed on all pages. Alternatively, you can also just link Google Analytics with your Google Ads conversion account. And as such, the Google Ads conversion tracking tag will be using the Google Click ID that is stored within the Analytics cookie.
Okay.
So these are the three main solutions. We're going to go through them in a bit of detail in a minute. Now, there's a few requirements that we need to have for all of these solutions. These are very, very important. We get a lot of questions around this, so let us address them. Now, the first thing is you need to have auto tagging installed. Auto tagging needs to be activated in your Google Ads account. Otherwise, these site-wide tags will not work properly. Secondly, you need to have the full JavaScript code installed as well. So Coraline, sometimes I get the questions from customers and they're asking me, would it work just with a pixel implementation?
The problem with the legacy pixel implementation is that it's still using third-party cookies, so it won't work properly. And you should try not to use the full JavaScript of the code. You just take the risk that the code won't fire at all, so your conversions will also not be tracked properly.
Okay, so we need a full JavaScript code. We need auto tagging installed. Secondly, some of you are using so-called click trackers. You're appending certain parameters to your URLs. Now, you can absolutely do that, but you need to make sure that the Google Click ID or the gclit is captured, as that actually bears the information of the actual ad click that we can revert the conversion back to. And lastly, you shouldn't fire the tag from within an iframe or via piggybacking. Coraline, what's the problem with an iframe?
Again, iframe and piggybacking solution are usually associated with third domain, external domain, so they also use third-party cookies. They won't be able to access the first-party cookies that we now need, so your conversion won't be tracked correctly.
Super, thank you. So these are like essential requirements that you unfortunately need to have, right? So which solutions would then be the best for you? Just quickly, before we go into the implementation, actually, let's make a decision. So first and foremost, if you are currently using imported goals or transactions from Google Analytics, or if you're using offline conversions, you don't have to do anything. You are golden. You are already using a site-wide tagging solution. If you're using Tag Manager, then you're actually also in a very good position. As Tag Manager, you just have to add on the so-called conversion linker, so you can use that. This works with both Google Ads and Floodlight tags. Lastly, if you're using neither Google Analytics nor Google Tag Manager, you're using just the Google Ads conversion tracking tag or the Floodlight tags of the Google Marketing Platform, you would have to install the so-called gTag or global site tag on all your pages. So gTag will be the preferred solution on that end. Now, there's also an alternative solution in case you are using not Floodlight tags and just Google Ads conversion tracking. You could also just link your Google Ads conversion tracking tag and Google Ads conversion account with the Google Analytics account, and that way we will be able to store the Google Click ID within the Analytics account once the user gets to the website. Now, bear in mind, this is not working for Floodlight tags, so we recommend any of the two above.
Okay, Patrick, we discussed now 3 solutions, but no matter which solution I choose, will my conversion data be the same?
So yes, so good question. So your conversion data will be the same. There will be no changes. If you see fluctuations, those are natural, but there will be no changes to your conversions whatsoever and the conversion volumes. Bear in mind, the one thing I will say is you should not create new conversion actions. You just update the existing ones. And we're going to go through that specifically when we talk about gTag.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
So now we're going to go through the various solutions: Google Tag Manager, gTag, and Google Analytics.
Okay, let's start with the Google Tag Manager. So what do you need to track conversions correctly with Google Tag Manager? First, you need to have Google Tag Manager already set up on your website. You will also need Google Ads conversion tracking tags that are triggered through Tag Manager. You shouldn't have the conversions code elsewhere on the website. That won't work. And finally, you need a conversion linker tag loading on every page. If you already have that, you're already all set for conversion tracking. If you don't have the conversion linker, we'll discuss now how to implement it correctly. So you can just log into your Google Tag container, and you will need to create a new tag. So just select tag. Then as we can see, we already have a Google Ads conversion tracking implemented, so we can go on with the conversion linker. Select new, and then edit the tag configuration. The conversion linker tag is already one of the pre-configured tags in Tag Manager. So it's here in the list under featured. You can just select it, and you don't have to change anything. The configuration is already done for you, so you don't have to worry about that. You can go on to edit the trigger, and you can choose the all pages trigger that is standard in your Google Tag Manager account. So it's very important that the conversion linker loads on every page. And it doesn't matter how many conversions you are actually tracking through Tag Manager. So even if you have 5 conversion tracking tags, you only need 1 conversion linker in your container.
Perfect. So I just need to do this once, basically.
Exactly.
Okay. And sometimes if you have landing pages specifically, right, set up for say a promotion or something, please make sure that the Google Tag Manager as such is installed on that landing page, right? Exactly. So it needs to be on all pages. And then as the conversion linker is triggered on all pages, that means it's triggered with the Tag Manager.
Everywhere. Exactly. Once you're all set like this, you can just click save, and don't forget to publish these changes to your website. That's it. We can go on with the gTag or global site tag. What do you need with the gTag? There's 2 steps. So first, you will need the global site tag on every single page of your website. You'll need 1 global site tag for each Google Ads, Google Analytics, or Floodlight configuration that you are using. But this doesn't matter how many conversions you're actually tracking, 1 global site tag per account. Then you will need a so-called event tag for each actual conversion that you want to track. Let's first discuss how to implement the global site tag on every page. You will find this code in the conversion settings of your account. So you can just copy it from there. It will be pre-configured for your account, and you don't have to change it. Once you've copied it, you can paste it on every page of your website between the head tags. You only need it once per account, and as we said, it doesn't matter how many conversions you are actually tracking. This global site tag will make sure that the cookie and the ad click information is kept on all the pages. And since we're speaking about data collection, please don't forget that you have to provide your users with clear and comprehensive information about the data you're collecting, and don't forget to obtain consent where it's legally required. So this is how the global site tag look like. This will be an example of a Google Ads configuration. Just find it in your account. Don't create any new conversions, as we said before, and you can paste it in the head between the head tags of your website. If you want to verify if the global site tag is configured correctly, you can use the extension Google Tag Assistant for Google Chrome. If you already have installed it, enable the extension, visit your website, and you will find the global site tag listed in the Tag Assistant. If you click on this tag, you will find the account ID or conversion ID that links the global site tag with your account. That was the first step. Now we need an event tag that will recognize which interaction on your website are actual conversion. So this is the equivalent of the old legacy conversion tag that some of you are maybe still using. So you will need to remove the legacy conversion tag and replace it with the event tag. You need to remove the legacy tag to be sure that you won't have any conversions being double counted. And finally, you need to place the event tag that you can also find in the conversion settings of your individual conversion between the head tags of the pages where you are tracking the conversion. So make sure that you have the global site tag on every page and the event tag only on the pages where a conversion happens.
So let's say if I have 5 conversions, right, on my Google Ads account, that means I only need 1 Google global site tag.
Exactly.
But I need 5 event tags on these different pages. Let's say 1 for a product view, 1 for a shopping cart view, 1 for the thank you page, and whatever.
Exactly. Okay. So the global site tag everywhere, and 5 pages on your website will have the global site tag and an event tag.
Perfect.
So as before, we have 2 ways of tracking conversions. One was a page view, and the second one was a click. Let's speak about the page view first. A conversion on a page view could be, for example, when your user reach a thank you page after a purchase or after submitting a form, for example. This is what the event tag will look like for a page view. Again, just copy it from the conversion setting. It's already linked with your account, with the conversion that you are trying to implement, and you don't have to modify anything. However, if you want to change the value or the currency for that conversion, you can do this by modifying the information after value by using a floating point number. You can also edit the currency by using the 3-letter codes of the currency that you need.
So this is basically my e-commerce tracking my work, and I dynamically insert the value of the thank you page.
Exactly. So you could have that on the thank you page after the purchase. with the value that is the one of your product.
But this needs to be on the same domain, right? It cannot be if I have, let's say, external payment provider that I'm sending my customers to, and I cannot put the event page on a third-party domain that is not equivalent with the global site tag domain.
So this event tag should be placed on the thank you page when your user is redirected from your third-party payment provider to your own website. Okay. So it can connect with your global site tag and count the conversion correctly.
Okay.
So that was the first way to implement a conversion. If you want to verify that this conversion is tracked properly, you can also use the Google Tag Assistant extension. You may have to actually convert to verify this because you need to reach the page where the event tag is implemented. You will find it as for the global site tag in the tag analysis of the Google Tag Assistant. And if you click on that conversion tag, you will find your conversion ID, identifying your account, and the conversion label that is identified that individual conversion. So if you have this, you all set, your conversion tracking is working properly. The second way to track a conversion is with a click. This seems a tiny bit more complicated, but you don't have to change too many things. So if you want to track a conversion on a click, you will find that first event snippet in your conversion setting. You will just have to choose that you want to track your conversion on a click. The code that you can see in between the script tag in this example is the code configured for your account and your conversion. You don't have to change it. In order to recognize which click is actually your conversion, you will, however, have to change something in the HTML code on your website. This is what is shown with the two examples, the two last bits of code. You can identify the right click by using the onClick attribute and adding that in the link code on your website. If you want to create a redirect on that click, you can also use your landing page into brackets. You can also leave that blank. The conversion will work anyway. Now, you don't always have the opportunity or the possibility to change the HTML code on a precise link. You may not have access to that code altogether. Another method to track your conversion correctly would be to link that gTag report conversion function with a JavaScript event listener. That could be very useful if you can only add snippet of code in very precise part of your website, only between the head tags, for example. We won't show any example on how to do that here, but if you need to revert to that solution, you can find a web developer that will be able to write that code for you.
Perfect.
Okay, so we've discussed everything about gTag. The main thing that you have to remember is that previously you only needed one code for a conversion. Now you will need the global site tag on every page of your website and one of these two event snippets on the pages where you are actually recording the conversion.
And they need to be the same domain.
And they need to be the same domain.
And
exactly.
auto-tagging activated.
Auto-tagging activated, and don't create any new conversions. Just open the conversion settings in your Google Ads or whatever account you're using and copy the paste where it's there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Cool. So that's so we have Google Tag Manager, right? So you can use that, particularly useful if you're an agency. gTag is also a good solution. Now, there is another solution that you can do. This, however, works only for Google Ads conversion tracking and not for the floodlight tags that you may use from the Google Marketing Platform. Basically, what you need is having the actual Google Ads conversion tracking tag, again, fully with the full JavaScript code installed on the conversion page. So as you have used it before, you need to have an active Google Analytics property that is linked to the Google Ads account of the code that you're using or tracking that you're using. And again, it needs to be the same domain, right? So you have the same domain. So you have in Google Analytics across all pages. So that would be a Sitewide tag, and Google Ads conversion tracking tag can then read the Google Click ID from the Google Analytics tag. Now, you need to be linking your Google Ads account and your Google Analytics account at the right level. So meaning if you're using MCC conversion tracking, you need to link the MCC, right? If you're using a specific account, you need to link these specific accounts. Bear in mind that you can only link those accounts if you actually have admin or edit access in both Google Ads and Google Analytics, right? So if, for example, again, if you are in an agency and you do not have access to your customers or edit access to your customers' Google Analytics account, please request it. So you can just link the Google Analytics accounts, very simple. You can see here under Tools and Conversions, and you click on Details. And here you have, again, depending on your rights, all the potential properties that are available for linking. Now, one thing to bear in mind here is, again, it will prompt you here, for example, that auto tagging is turned off, right? So again, even if you were to link these two accounts, it wouldn't work as a site-wide tagging solution. So you need to enable it, and you can actually do this right here. Then this will prompt actually the individual property to be linked, so you can just activate the link. You see here, there's also import site metrics. We usually recommend to activate that as well, because it will give you additional columns and additional information, for example, on bounce rate, pages per session, session duration for your campaigns. So that's worthwhile to do as well. Now, we understand that some of you may not work as much with Google Analytics, however, what we will do is we have in our next Academy on Air episode, we'll have one on best practice setup around Google Analytics. So to see how to set up best properties and views, how to do your tracking correctly, how to ensure that your traffic is properly categorized, and then again, properly linked to Google and Google Ads. So yeah, to conclude, you have a variety of solutions at hand to make your clients or your own website conversion tracking future-proof. One being just updating the current Google Ads conversion tracking tag to the global site tag. Again, with the event tag on for every single conversion, but the gTag only once per account.
Exactly.
If you're using Google Tag Manager, excellent, right? So you have a variety of tags that you can include both from Google and other providers. You need to install the Google Ads conversion tracking. We didn't go into detail around this today, but you also need this conversion linker.
That is the most important.
That makes it actually a site-wide tag.
Exactly.
And then lastly, Google Analytics. Again, two possibilities. If you're already using Gold and transaction import, perfect. Then you're already using a site-wide tagging solution, so you're well set up. Alternatively, if you're using Google Ads conversion tracking, you can just link your analytics, but please make sure you link that at the right level, and that you have the right, that you actually have auto tagging turned on, and you have linked the correct property. So that is basically it. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your Google contacts. We have plenty of material and collateral to help you being prepared for site-wide tagging. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in, and hopefully see you around in about 2 weeks' time for Google Analytics Health Practices.
Amazing. Thank you.
Bye.